blessings of God is always rich. The blessings of God is always great. Would you turn to your neighbor and say, God has blessed me? To Dr. and Captain Shelley, and to all of the great leaders of this wonderful and great congregation, to all of these ministers of the gospel, and to this marvelous choir and this leader, and to all of our young people, and to all of the saints of God, good morning. It's good to be here. I'm not going to prolong you. But think on this before I give you my scripture text. If you have been favored to receive divine instructions for 3 years, to sit at the high chair, in the high chair, in the presence of the Son of God, who has favored you and handpicked you to serve and to advance his kingdom. He has nurtured you. He has taken you from your daily occupation and have found favor in training you to give you the authority. Say authority. To be the best that ever was. And yet, through all of that, through your training, your hands-on experience, being able to witness miracles and see the Son of God at work in a marvelous and mighty way. You got the front seat. You at the door. You're closer than any person of your day. You at the ribbon cutting. You at the grand opening. You are experiencing the best. You're seeing the best. You are a part of the divine spiritual movement that has ever been placed on earth in the hands of man. You are. And yet, you find yourself really not full. You find yourself missing something. Can you imagine having everyday conversation with the Son, being in the divine presence and understanding his ways and his motives, and how he wants you to do things and how he wants you to accomplish certain things? Think about it. Think about it. And then journey with me to this scripture. Mark 9. And here it reads. I'm reading from the King James, New King James Version. And so lovingly you find these words. John said to him, we saw someone driving out demons in your name. And we tried to stop him because he wasn't following us. You may be seated. Matthew's 9 declares an image here that sets forth personalities, of attitude, responsibility. Matthew 9 says these 12 men whom Jesus has handpicked to set the table for the advancement of the kingdom. They find themselves in dialogue, talking to each other. In fact, previously, the text says they were arguing. They were arguing about who would have the seat at the right and the left, who was the strongest, who had the most and best leadership skills. They found themselves in constant dialogue, argument that Jesus took notice of. He says, what had you so intense in your conversation, and now you're silent to one another? So Peter says we were talking about who was stronger in leadership and who would bear the responsibility. Jesus says, first you must understand that in order for you to be great, you must serve. And so this went on, and then they come across an individual or a group of individuals who's gathered together. Well, this man brings his son to them, and the son is, text says, demon possessed. He has fits, seizures. In those days, they didn't quite understand medical science as we do today, the proper diagnosis. Here, this man is brought to the best of the best, this boy, this man's son. And they couldn't help him. Mind you now, they have been in the high chair of the table, sitting close, seeing firsthand, and they were handpicked, they were chosen, they were favored. And so this man says to Jesus when he comes into their presence, I brought my son to your disciples, and they could not help him. They could not help him. He's been sick. He's been having these fits. He's been falling out. He's been foaming at the mouth. And oftentimes he even tries to drown himself. But your disciples, those ones who've been following you, that you have given the advance notice, the high chair at the table, those who have been sitting in your presence, those whom you have personally taught for 3.5 years, who you have given authority to, can't help it. This is the hardest rebuke that Jesus ever placed on his disciples. This is what he says. He said, listen. He said, you wretched, perverse, weak-minded, jellyback men. He says, in fact, how long have I have to tolerate you? Now, here are men who are at the table, but they couldn't help. They couldn't help. They have been given the authority to be more than just ordinary men walking around the street or talking about ministry. They have been given the authority to exercise and to use the authority of God at the hands of the spiritual value and understand the divineship of the Holy God. They have been given that authority. He hands it to them, knowing in a day or so, or a few weeks to come, or months, perhaps, that they will have to have full control over exercising the power of God's Spirit. And he looks at them and says, I have failed because you don't get it. You're weak. You can't handle this situation. You can't seems to follow just simple ABC. I've taught you. I've worked with you. I have given you something that no other has ever had. And your spirituality is weak because you're focusing on yourself. You're looking at who you are and who you think you should be and where you think you are at this present, but it's not about you. And we come to the text. They ought to be embarrassed. Those of us who have been given special privilege and we fail, we ought to be embarrassed. And just because we have special privilege does not mean there's anything special about us. Sometimes you get caught up in who you think you are. But my grandmother used to remind me, son, you ain't nothing but dust. And so when this special privilege comes along to us and we fail, we should be embarrassed. It takes a lot. It takes an awful lot for a man to experience the best that God has, and he gets selfish. He thinks it's all about him. He don't think it's about no one else. God has blessed you in every considerable way, and yet you find yourself so entirely blessed that you can't even share your testimony. You got special places that you want to share it. You got special things you want to do. You don't want nobody to know that you're spiritual and divine on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Oh, but Sunday morning. These disciples, these followers, these ones who has the high chair at the table, should have been embarrassed by their actions. And yet they come here to the text. It comes to this text, understanding that they do have some authority. And they are a select people or a select group. They come now with that understanding that they are. And they see another man who is being successful in his spirituality. How many times do you get jealous because somebody else has got it and you don't have it and you're supposed to have it? And we start pointing fingers and criticizing, oh, they ain't all that, she ain't all that, he ain't nothing to him. We start pointing our fingers because we are neglecting our spirituality and somebody else is properly using theirs. Here it is. So they see this man who's casting out demons, which the authority that they have, but yet they couldn't use. But here's a man who's not a part of the crowd, who's not a part of the group, who's not in the inner circle, if one would say. His name is not even mentioned amongst the 12. He's casting out demons. He's doing the work of the kingdom. He's focusing on himself, and yet the job is getting to be done because he knows who he is. He's comfortable in his own skin. He's not boastful. He's not bragging. He's not bodacious, but he's yet understanding where his mission lies. And along comes the high chair boys, who's been at the table, who's seen the experience, who have been taught and trained, and who have been nurtured, and who has been ordained and anointed. It goes to the master and says, Master, Jesus, you ain't gonna imagine what we saw today. We saw somebody casting out demons and using your name. And we forbade him, but he didn't stop. He kept right on. Jesus, come close, buddies. Let's go back to the table. Get in your high chair. Why would you stop somebody who's using my name? Why would you attempt to stop somebody who is advancing the kingdom? What you're supposed to be doing, but yet you're selfish. You don't really understand the power in which you have, and yet you stop someone. Forbid them not. He said, forbid them not. And the message to you this morning is, know who you are. Know what God has called you to do. Don't be selfish with what you have. Don't be selfish in your gifts and your spirituality. Use it. Doesn't matter who's sitting next to you. If God speaks to you, use it. If God woke you up this morning and started you on your way, you got an opportunity to tell somebody, I have made it through the grace of God. God's love has brought me through. I am that I am, but I'm better because of Christ. Oh, forbid them not, for such as theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you got it this morning, don't be selfish because somebody else got it too. Somebody's going to come along that needs your direction, that needs your experience, that needs your know-how. Don't hold it back, because the same God that they're serving supposedly be your God. Is your God alive today? Is he using you in a way that you're proud and you're not embarrassed by your actions? Well, let's do an inventory. Let's see if your God is alive. If I say something to signal that your God is alive, just stand to your feet. Did your God wake you up this morning? Did he give you a mind that you can use it as you see it in his glory? Did he put food on your table? Did he put shoes on your feet? A roof over your head? Clothes on your back? Did he give you a family that loves you? Did he give you a brother or sister that stands by you? Oh, did he wake you up this morning? And you was able to realize where you were, and you were not crazy. Nobody had you strapped down in a hospital bed, but you woke up in your own right mind, that you can see where you're going. You know how to put your shoes on. You know how to sit down. You know how to eat. You know how to sleep. Oh, did he wake you up this morning? Did he start you on your way? Did he give you running in your spirit, joy in your heart? Is he alive today? If he's alive today, say yes. Say yes, yes. He woke you up, didn't he? Songwriter says, I was seeking deep in sin, very deeply stained within. Oh, but the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. And the song says, from the angry waters, he lifted me. Safe. Are you safe this morning? Are you really safe this morning? Say safe. Safe. Safe in the hands of Jesus.
Thank you for joining us for today's message. If God is impacting your life through this ministry, join us in reaching others by investing today. Become a transforming partner with us. You can give at grovechurchva.com/giving. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more messages that will inform and impact your life.